What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com. Welcome in to the post-game show live after the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-20 to move on to their fifth straight AFC Championship game appearance. That is just incredible. Guys, I wanted to do something tonight and go live. Unfortunately, Michael Darcy is doing something else for his company tonight and couldn't make it, but I'll probably do something with him later. I just really wanted to get out a live post game for you guys, though, because I had to talk about this game and what the Chiefs just did. Hopefully, I can get a decent crowd in here because I know a lot of other Chiefs channels are doing their live streams right now, and I love what all those guys do, but definitely appreciate when you guys choose me to watch. I mean, what can you say about that game, man? That is one of the gutsiest Chiefs wins I think I've ever seen since I've been a fan. That was a stressful game. It was a fun game, but most importantly, the Chiefs won. And honestly, I think this was one of Andy Reid's best coaching jobs in a very long time, finding a way to win this game with Patrick Mahomes obviously getting hurt and Chad Henne having to come in the game. I honestly, at one point, when Mahomes first got hurt, I was like, they just got to take him out, man. They got to take him out immediately because, I mean, the dude couldn't even walk without hopping. And I remember in the second half, Mahomes came out first drive of the second half, and he still did not look right. And I was like, man, he shouldn't be out there. He doesn't need to be out there. But the Chiefs persisted. They kept Mahomes out there, and he ended up settling in quite well and ended up throwing a touchdown later, and that touchdown would ultimately be the one that would lock up this game for the Chiefs. And also, you can't say enough about the 99-yard touchdown drive that Chad Henne led the Chiefs on when he came in the game in relief of Patrick Mahomes, because without that touchdown drive, the Chiefs do not win this game. They won this game 27-20 by 7 points. Every single touchdown in this game mattered, including the one from Chad Henne to Travis Kelce in the first half. That was clutch. Chad Henne, you got to give him credit. And honestly, I got to apologize to Chad Henne because for a long time, I was like, why is he still on roster? Like, we got Shane Buechele, we got some younger arms that I think would make better long-term backups. You know, why is Chad Henne still here? Why? And this is why. It's because of the experience. It's because he is calm, cool, and collected in a situation where he needs to be thrown into the game. This is now his second playoff game in which he's had to come in for an injured Patrick Mahomes. He played for Patrick Mahomes or in place of him in the 2020 divisional round versus the Cleveland Browns a couple years ago, if you guys remember that one. And he had that amazing run that almost got a first down. And then he ended up passing for a first down to Tyreek Hill the very next play. And we actually saw a play similar to that in this game from Chad Henne on that touchdown drive. He got a first down to Kadarius Toney on a play that looked exactly like the Tyreek Hill one from a couple years ago that won the Chiefs the game against the Cleveland Browns in the divisional round. Other notable things on offense that I had written down in my notes, Isaiah Pacheco. He was a key in this game because without him, the Chiefs don't win. He was also a big part of that touchdown drive. The first, I forget if that one was with Chad Henne or not. I think it was. I believe that was when Chad Henne was in the game, though. Pacheco bounced outside and took that run about 38 yards down the field. And actually, I'm going to pull up the stats real quick right now because I don't remember how much Isaiah Pacheco rushed for exactly. So let me look at that real quick. So he had 12 carries for 95 yards. That's good for 7.9 yards per carry, nearly 8 yards per carry for Isaiah Pacheco. And after Patrick Mahomes got hurt, the Chiefs needed to lean on the running game. Because, look, obviously his ankle is all screwed up. You've got to take some pressure off of him. And they had to do something similar to that in the Super Bowl in 2020 when the Chiefs got, absolutely bulldozed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In that game, the Chiefs' offensive line was a disaster. We all remember that. But they handed the ball off to Clyde Edwards-Helaire a few times in the running game, and it actually worked very well, and that's because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were daring the Chiefs to run the ball. And not only that, it was important that the Chiefs ran the ball in that game because Patrick Mahomes was taking so many hits. And here you have a situation where you can't afford Patrick Mahomes to be taking any more hits. You got to run the ball. And the Chiefs definitely leaned on their running game like they were supposed to. Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon both got over 10 carries. Jerick McKinnon had only 25 yards and 11 carries, so not a great day for him. He only averaged 2.3 yards per carry, but Isaiah Pacheco was able to carry most of the load, and he did a great job. They also gave a handoff to Kadarius Toney, and he got 14 yards on his lone carry. He looked very good today, and I'll touch on him here in a little bit. And then Travis Kelce, he was instrumental today. He had 14 catches, which, by the way, is a record for a tight end in a playoff game. 14 catches for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Chiefs absolutely do not win this game without Travis Kelce. And no matter who is the quarterback, Travis Kelce just seems to produce, man. He's great. And on Patrick Mahomes' second touchdown drive, I really loved that the Chiefs were able to get 2 huge plays from Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Those were their 2 big free agent additions at the wide receiver position this past offseason, and they both came up huge on that drive. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, his only catch of the game, a 6-yard touchdown reception to pretty much put the game away for Kansas City. And this was just a gutsy win, man. Like, the offense wasn't perfect. Obviously, it changed after Patrick Mahomes went out of the game with injury. It wasn't the same. The Chiefs had to improvise, but they did a great job, and they did just enough to win this one. All you had to do was win and go home, get healed up. Patrick Mahomes, this next week, this recovery process for him is going to be very important. He could barely walk on that ankle today right after the injury happened. Hopefully, I'm hoping the Chiefs get the Sunday game. If Roger Goodell and the NFL are smart about this, they will make the AFC Championship game on Sunday, so Patrick Mahomes will have 1 extra day to heal because the Chiefs obviously played today, which is a Saturday, and that would give you 8 days until the next game day. I don't know, though. I don't know how they determine that. We'll see what happens, but this next week is going to be very important for Patrick Mahomes because even though his ankle should probably be a lot better by then, it'll probably still bother him a little bit, and that can affect your accuracy. You know, if you're a quarterback, if you can't plant on that foot the same way, that can affect your accuracy. That can affect your comfortability in the pocket. We saw how it affected Mahomes after the injury happened. He had the play where he looked like he wanted to throw and then threw the ball into the ground, even though he had a lot of room to run for a first down, but he didn't want to put his ankle at further risk by running for that first down. So he just threw the ball into the ground, and it affected his decision-making. He didn't look the same. And that was tough to watch, but he toughed it out. Trey Young in the comments says that the championship games are on Sunday this year. Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure when they were going to be this year because I know sometimes they would have like the NFC on Saturday and whatnot. I'm glad it's on Sunday, though. That's going to be huge, getting that extra day. And honestly, I might be mistaken. They might have always been on Sunday because you're only down to 4 teams. I'm pretty sure, actually, yeah. The question isn't if it's on Sunday or Saturday. The question is if they play the early game or the late game. Hopefully the late game. Give them as much time as possible. And it would also be nice to know who their Super Bowl opponent is before playing that game. So we got Marlon in the chat tonight. Nice to see you, Marlon. Most importantly, too, in this game, the Chiefs played a clean game. No turnovers. And they were able to help out their turnover differential in this game by creating 2 turnovers on defense, and I'll get to those in a little bit. But the important thing is the Chiefs, no turnovers, no interceptions, no fumbles, nothing. I always question, time and time again, actually, in the regular season, I question if this Chiefs team has what it takes in the postseason or to win in the postseason because they would play a lot of sloppy football in the regular season. I'm like, I don't know if they're ready. And then they always remind me that there is a switch that they can flip in the postseason. They have this mental switch that they flip. They up the intensity. and they can run up the score on mediocre teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't want to say the Jacksonville Jaguars are mediocre, but I mean there's a large gap between the Jaguars and the Chiefs. The Chiefs absolutely should have won this game, and they did. But my point is that, like last year against the Steelers and the Chiefs were so obviously the better team. The Steelers didn't belong with them, and the Chiefs showed that. There's been a lot of times in the regular season where the Chiefs have struggled to show mediocre teams that they don't belong on the same field as them. But in the postseason, they've turned it on. Yeah, sometimes they've hit a wall, like against the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game. But when the playoffs come, when the postseason comes, this team, they step up. And I do think the Chiefs would have won this game a lot more comfortably had Patrick Mahomes not gotten hurt. I mean, you could see it on that first drive of the game. Really, for the offense and the defense was playing with their hair on fire. And then the Chiefs on offense, they just marched down the field on the Jaguars. And then obviously Mahomes got hurt, and that kind of changed the way that the Chiefs played. But before that, you could just see that the Chiefs were about to roll them over. And I think that they're ready for this. They're going to be ready for this AFC Championship game, no matter who they play. And I'm sure some of you are going to ask who would I rather play, the Bills or the Bengals. If you had to put a gun to my head and tell me to choose one, I'd say the Bills because I'm more confident in the Chiefs beating them. But honestly, I don't care at this point. Just give me whoever, because guess what? If you make it to the AFC Championship game and you don't beat whoever is on the other side, then it wasn't meant to be. You didn't deserve to be there. So give me whoever. I don't care who we play. I just can't wait for the game. Special teams. I'm going to talk about them real quick before I move on to the defense. They continue to be a disaster. We knew that this was a unit that could hurt the Chiefs potentially, and they definitely hurt today. Agnew, the Jaguars returner, he had 2 huge returns on the Chiefs, and one that probably would have went for a touchdown if Harrison Butker didn't save a touchdown with a tackle where he had to lay out. And Dave Toub, it's funny, Mike Tirico on the broadcast, he said that Dave Toub was one of the best in the business. I'm not sure if Mike Tirico has watched much Chiefs football this year. I mean, he's commentated on plenty of the games, so he should know that Dave Toub has been horrendous this year. This special teams unit has been horrendous this year. And the Chiefs gave up 2 big returns today, and they also had a false start somehow on an extra point. Luckily, the Chiefs were still able to win the game, but things could have been a lot different if Harrison Butker didn't make a game-saving tackle, really, on Jamal Agnew. That would have been bad. And Dave Toub, I'll just stop there. And by the way, for those of you that are in here watching, if you could please leave your comments and questions in the chat. I will gladly get to them at one point or another, since it's just me tonight and I'm going solo. No Michael Darcy. I'm definitely going to answer your guys' questions if you have any, so please leave them in there. Notes for the defense. Number 1, this defense, they were not perfect today, but they did enough for the Chiefs to win, and they came up with back-to-back turnovers late in the game to seal this one for the Chiefs when the offense couldn't get things going. You know what? Hold on. Actually, real quick. Speaking of that, I put this in my offensive notes, and I didn't bring it up. I failed to bring it up. That's my bad. Short yardage. Somehow, this Chiefs offense that is one of the best in the league, they were number 1 in the league in points per game, is the worst team in the league on short yardage. When it's 3rd down or 4th down and only 1 or 2 yards to go, this team just cannot get those 1 or 2 yards. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they overcomplicate it, but this team cannot convert in short yardage, and it is maddening. It is mind-boggling. The play calls are absolutely ridiculous, and they did the thing where they had Noah Gray come up and take the quarterback sneak, and everyone knew it was going to happen. You're just giving away what the play is going to be beforehand. They've ran that one before. I'm pretty sure they've ran it multiple times this past year. At some point, you're going to have to grow up and do something else. And obviously, Mahomes was hurt today, so it complicated things. But like, Mahomes is going to have to run a QB sneak again eventually. And then the run plays, the inside runs on third and 4th downs, they just haven't been working. Every single team that has seen that against the Chiefs, they've blown it up. And I would honestly, I know you don't want to pass a lot on those downs, especially when you're trying to chew clock, but in that situation, I probably would have thrown the ball, because the Chiefs just running in short yardage has not worked this year. It just hasn't. But I just wanted to throw that in there, but I'll go back to the defense. Defense came up huge today. They got 2 turnovers when this team needed it, and this is a Chiefs defense that has struggled to create turnovers this year, but they were able to do that today. And Chris Jones, a lot of people who don't understand defensive line play are going to hop on social media and they're going to say, oh, Chris Jones was a no-show again. Chris Jones didn't have any sacks. Oh my gosh, Chris Jones still has 0 playoff sacks. Chris Jones was dominant today, guys. He was dominant. He was constantly getting in the backfield, putting pressure on Trevor Lawrence and made him get rid of the ball very quickly. He was wrecking the game, okay? And of course, Frank Clark, who was good today. I will give him credit. Frank Clark, he had a sack and a really big tackle for a loss in this game. He showed up. He was talking a big game before this game today. And I said, you know what? If Frank Clark has a good game today, I'll stop mentioning him. So props to Frank Clark. He had a good game today. But he's going to get a bunch of credit while Chris Jones gets 0, even though Chris Jones has a game record today. He did very well. If you're someone that thinks Chris Jones did not play well today, please go back and watch the highlights, look at some of the big Chiefs defensive plays, and watch Chris Jones get into the backfield and cause pressure. And he was getting double teamed constantly, eating double teams, which opens up things for the rest of this defensive line. So major props to both Chris Jones and Frank Clark. Derek Nottie as well. He had a big sack today, clobbered Trevor Lawrence. And Derek Nottie doesn't get a lot of sacks, so that was fun to see. Colin Saunders, he was applying pressure today. He almost had a sack on Trevor Lawrence. Nick Bolton, L'Jarius Sneed teaming up to cause that fumble that the Jaguars player had. Was that Agnew? I forget who that was for the Jaguars that fumbled that ball. But anyway, they came down with it and made a football move, so it was a fumble. They had possession of that ball, and Chiefs recovered it. And then Andy Reid he proceeded to go 3 and out after the Chiefs recovered that ball. Terrible play calling. Another short yardage run play where the Chiefs couldn't convert. They had to go 3 and out, even though they should have the game locked up after that. Have to punt it back to Jacksonville and make the game a little more interesting. But then Jalen frickin' Watson, the rookie cornerback, with the one-handed interception on Trevor Lawrence to get the ball right back for Kansas City. What a freaking athletic play by Jalen Watson. Chiefs rookies came up big in this game. George Karlaftis, I saw him apply some pressure today too. Now, Steve Spagnuolo was frustrating me a little bit because he put George Karlaftis covering Christian Kirk out of the backfield for the Jaguars. Like, Steve Spagnuolo drives me crazy sometimes with his personnel decisions. Why is Karlaftis one-on-one with Christian Kirk, the other team's best receiver there? I don't understand that. Luckily, doesn't matter because the Chiefs won, but that was a horrendous personnel decision by Steve Spagnuolo. I don't care if you have to take a timeout. George Karlaftis should not be covering Christian Kirk ever. Ever. Other notes, Juan Thornhill, I thought looked pretty good today. Christian Kirk almost beat him, though, deep. Him and L'Jarius Sneed, I believe it was. Sneed did not handle the Christian Kirk matchup very well again today either. He had them beat deep a couple times, but Christian Kirk had a major drop. And him and Trevor Lawrence had some miscommunication today a little bit. But Chiefs defense came up big when it mattered, guys. They really did. And I've been hard on them all year long, but I've always said they have a higher ceiling than the defense of years past, and that's because of the youth and the athleticism that this Chiefs defense possesses, and that really showed off today. Example number 1, Jalen Watson's one-handed interception, which was absolutely crazy. I was screaming at my projector after that one, guys, because I knew the Chiefs had the game locked up after that. Actually, I will say I held my breath a little bit on the onside kick attempt from the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it's whatever. Shout out Kadarius Toney. I thought he had another really good game. He didn't have a big game stat-wise. He had, if I look down here, 5 receptions for 36 yards. He was actually the Chiefs' second leading receiver behind Travis Kelce, and I thought he looked all right. Again, not a big game stat-wise, but he made a lot of really important plays for the Chiefs to get them first downs. He was doing a lot of stuff near the sidelines and the flats, taking those dump offs and turning them upfield. I think he's going to be a major player for this team for years to come. He's finally healthy and he's getting integrated into this offense. I also think he's going to be a major factor against either the Bills or the Bengals, the Chiefs are going to need all the offensive production they can get. I expect both Kadarius Toney and Juju Smith-Schuster, who also didn't have a very good game. I won't say he had a bad game. He didn't have a very big game production-wise. I expect both him and Toney to contribute a lot more against either the Bills or the Bengals, because even though, again, Patrick Mahomes was injured, that changed the way that this team played. And I think after Mahomes got hurt, they really just went to Kelsey, which is what, both Patrick Mahomes and Chad Henne knew they were comfortable with. And obviously, it's Travis Kelsey. Why wouldn't you be comfortable throwing to Travis Kelsey? He catches everything, and he's the best tight end in the league. But I do believe that if Mahomes is healthy, that we would have seen him improvising, getting outside the pocket, and getting more targets to these other guys, Kadarius Toney, Juju, Noah Gray, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. But it's all right. I think we'll see them step up in the next game. Sky Moore also, the Chiefs tried to get him going on some sweeps and stuff of that nature, but he didn't do much. I will say I'm very disappointed in his field vision. He had multiple plays where he could have gotten some positive yardage and somehow was tackled for a loss of yards. I don't think his vision is very good. I don't think I think the Chiefs are a little disappointed with how slowly he's progressed. I think he'll get there eventually, but this year Sky Moore's just not a factor. You'll see him get a few touches in some of these games, but I think for the most part they're going to go with who they're comfortable with. And Sky Moore isn't one of those guys that they're necessarily comfortable with all the time. But that's pretty much everything from my notes that I wrote down. So it's back to your guys' comments and questions. So I'm going to go get into some of those. Appreciate you guys hopping on tonight, talking football with me. 5th straight AFC Championship, guys. It's a pleasure watching this team. I mean, we get frustrated as fans, and there's a lot of things we can complain about and nitpick from week to week. But bottom line, this team is going to their 5th straight AFC Championship game with the chance to go to the Super Bowl again. Like, that's crazy. You're in the AFC Championship game. All you had to do today was beat the Jaguars. They beat the Jaguars, and now they're back in the freaking AFC Championship game. That's insane. But let's go ahead and get into some of your guys' comments and questions. Trey Young says, I feel if Mahomes is healthy and this defense does enough, I have no doubts they'll win handily versus Cincinnati or Buffalo. I mean, yeah, if Mahomes is healthy and the offense is clicking on all cylinders, they don't turn the ball over, and if the defense plays anything like it did today, the Chiefs are going to be just fine. Again, the defense wasn't perfect. They frustrated us at times. Like, there was that one point in the game where they had the Jaguars in 2nd and 18 and couldn't get off the field. The Jaguars actually averaged more yards per play than the Chiefs today. And the Jaguars and the Bills, those are both offenses that have the potential to be a lot better than Jacksonville's. So the Chiefs defense was not good today, or not great. Sorry. They were fine, but they weren't great. But they held the Jags to 7-13 on 3rd down, which is good enough to win the game. But the Jaguars did have 349 total yards of offense. You need that number to come down against the Bengals or the Bills if you're going to win those games, or you're going to need the offense to go absolutely nuclear if you're going to win those games and the defense plays like that. Would like to see the yards per play come down against whoever they play next. But yeah, I agree with your comment. I mean, just play clean football, really. I trust the offense. The defense can be frustrating a lot of the times, but if they're creating turnovers, if the Chiefs are winning the turnover battle, then perfect. WWE Clark says, do you think Mahomes will be okay for the Bills-Bengals? I think he'll be okay. I think the ankle will definitely bother him a little bit. I expect the Chiefs to drug him up a little bit and take that ankle heavily for next game, but it's going to be a lot better than it was today. Like, he's going to be able to walk on it. It might affect his accuracy, like I said. It might still bother him a little bit. He might even be a little bit off, and the mobility might not be quite the same as it usually is, but he'll be fine. He'll go out there and play, and I think the Chiefs will adjust the offense accordingly. Terry, what's up? Nice to see you. He says Buffalo should have played Jacksonville. Yeah, they probably should have, but when you don't make up the game, when you don't play the game, the NFL had to do what they had to do, and they gave the Chiefs the 1 seed. But it is what it is. Trey Young says they would have put up 40 if it wasn't for Mahomes' injury. I agree. I think they were going to roll the Jaguars. Mahomes never got hurt. Marlon says, talk about Chad Henne. I did talk about Chad Henne, Marlon. He was great. He came in. He was cool, calm, collected, and he's come up big multiple times now in the playoffs for the Chiefs, which I never thought I would say. Chad freaking Henne, the backup quarterback who's damn near 40 years old. He came in and might just have won this game for the Chiefs with that touchdown drive. He's backed up all the way on his own 1 yard line. I already went over your question. Sorry. Terry says not important, but Terry Rozier is cooking right now, Josh. Thank you, Marlon. Love to hear it. Love to hear that Terry Rozier is doing very well. Looks like you guys aren't very active, so I don't have a ton of comments and questions. I can go back up though. Please, guys, if you have questions or anything, leave them in the chat because I'm going solo tonight. I gave all my notes for the game, so I got nothing much else to say. I'll probably do something with Michael Darcy a little bit later when he's available, but I just wanted to do a quick live talking about this game with you guys. Raven says AFC will be Sunday night last game. Good to hear. Playing the night game, I much prefer that. I also prefer the game to be as late as possible so the Chiefs can prep as much as possible. And it's a good thing. Even though I was upset that this game was on Saturday, it helps the Chiefs because it means they will have extra time to recover after this game. And also, it means I can have a nice, relaxing, and stress-free Sunday because the Chiefs aren't playing because they already got their game out of the way on Saturday. Trey Young says, how do you feel about a potential Super Bowl matchup versus the 49ers? I feel like we match up extremely well. Yeah, this is actually a good question. I talked about this a little bit with Michael Darcy when we did our playoff picks for this postseason. We predicted all the games. And the 49ers are a very well-rounded team. They have a great defense still. They have a very good offense still that is predicated around a strong running game. It's very similar to the 49ers team that made the Super Bowl a couple of years ago in 2019. Especially because of quarterback too, Brock Purdy, he's not too much different from Jimmy Garoppolo in terms of how that offense operates. It's interesting though, because the Chiefs blew the 49ers out earlier this year. That was obviously a lot earlier in the year, and the 49ers are a little bit different of a team. It's a different quarterback, but I do think that in a Super Bowl matchup that comes down to Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes, give me Patrick Mahomes, man. He's not losing a Super Bowl to Brock Purdy. I'm sorry, he's just not. And this team, they blew out the 49ers earlier this year. And a lot of 49ers fans I saw were saying they had a bunch of people out to injury in that game. No, they didn't. Go back and look at the injury report. The 49ers were damn near fully healthy. The Chiefs just blew them out like they were the better team. Yeah, I do think the Chiefs match up well against them, and you can beat their defensive backs over the top. Even though they have this great defense, you can win deep on them, and the Chiefs were very successful in that game, throwing the ball over the top. Marquez Valdes-Scantling had a 100-yard game in that one. Hopefully you'd have McCole Hardman back for that one. I think he could have some big plays against the 49ers. And what else was I going to say? Juju too. I mean, he had 100 yards in that game. So, I mean, I really would like the Chiefs in that matchup. I would not worry about the 49ers at all. Great, strong team. They're a tough team. I think they have a very good chance of winning the NFC, but I think the Chiefs would beat them handily in a Super Bowl, especially since it's Brock Purdy, a rookie quarterback, versus Patrick Mahomes. That's just how I feel. WWE Clark, I'll go more in depth on that potential matchup, though, if it actually happens. I would love to. But WWE Clark says, do you think we should keep Juan? I wouldn't mind keeping Juan Thornhill if his market isn't very strong and you can bring him back for cheap, but I would also try to draft somebody over him as like a fourth safety. Sure, keep Juan Thornhill around. I don't mind at all. Then you'd have Juan Thornhill, Brian Cook, and Justin Reed for another year, and then maybe add a rookie to the mix, and I think you got a really strong defensive back group. I'm not saying Juan Thornhill is bad, but he definitely has not been the same since that ACL tear in his rookie year, and he's a frustrating player still. Some days he'll look really good. Some days he'll look like he doesn't know how to tackle and he can't cover. I just think, he's lost some closing speed since that first ACL tear, and it's a shame because we never got to see him reach his full potential here if he ends up going to another team. But I would like to keep on around for cheap and as like a third or fourth safety, but we'll see what happens. HFA Recon, nice to see you. He says, my voice just shot up, man. Great game. Glad you got to go and enjoy it, man. I saw your comment yesterday saying that you're going to the game. That had to be freaking amazing, dude. And you and the rest of the fans really helped out. You guys were loud out there today. really affected the Jaguars a little bit, I think, and came up big. I hope you had fun, man, because I'll tell you what, I went to the AFC Championship game last year. We lost. It was not a fun experience. It sucks when you lose, but it's really fun going to Arrowhead when the Chiefs win. Trey Young says there's literally no difference between the 49ers who beat in the Super Bowl and this 49ers team. Yeah, I agree for the most part. I think they're very similar, but I think the Chiefs are better than they were in 2019 as well. Tom Hood says how healthy Mahomes is for next week will be the difference. Totally agree. Marlon says, where's Marlon's comment? Did I just Oh, here it is. Marlon says only difference is McCaffrey. Yeah, McCaffrey has had a resurgence with them, but like I said, I think the Chiefs' run defense is a lot stronger than it was even in 2019, and it's been a pleasant surprise this year. Even today, against Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne had 10 carries for 62 yards. He was all right, but he didn't kill the Chiefs. So I have faith in this run defense, even versus Christian McCaffrey and the Niners. 2019, I don't know who the 49ers RB was. I think it was Mostert back then. I could be wrong, but pretty sure it was Mostert. Trey Young says, oh no, already went over the comment. Eric says, crowd was so loud, I'm pretty sure my ear went half dead for a few minutes. F you, Trevor. Eric, were you at the game today, bro? I did not see that. Were you at the game? That's freaking awesome if you were. WWE Clark says, does T-Law still think Miami is louder than Arrowhead? Probably not after today. I did say in my preview, let's go out there and show Trevor Lawrence how loud Arrowhead is. But I do think that thing was overblown a little bit. Like, he was asked a question. What was he supposed to say? That Jacksonville wasn't a very loud fan base or a very loud stadium. But it's whatever. We knew the Chiefs were the loudest, and they definitely proved that today. Eric, that is fucking awesome, dude. Oh, sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I'm just kidding. This is my channel. I can say whatever I want. That's awesome, though, dude. 15 hours from Maryland, and you had to be back home by tomorrow. Dude, that is insane, but probably worth it with the Chiefs playoff win. I remember, so, like, I'm from St. Louis, obviously. I drove 4.5 hours to the Buffalo Bills versus Kansas City Chiefs Week 5 game of last season as well. By the way, the only two games I went to last year, Week 5 versus the Bills and the AFC Championship game versus the Bengals. That was horrible luck. I picked two of the worst games of the Chiefs season to go to. Anyway, after that Bills game, and that was the rain delay game as well, after that, I drove 4.5 hours home in a freaking rainstorm, and it was so freaking miserable, dude. It was so miserable. I ended up working a double the next day, and I had class in the morning. And then I recorded a podcast later that night when I got home talking about my horrible experience. But sorry I had to get depressing with it. But I just know that drive home is a lot better when you're going back after a Chiefs win than it is when the Chiefs lose. Because both the times I went last year, the Chiefs got freaking embarrassed. And it was not fun. But yeah, Trey Young says the Vikings should be given another loss after watching Eagles versus Giants. I really think the Vikings versus the Giants were the battle of the mid, really. I mean, that game was a toss-up. I don't think either is very good. This game was always going to be a cakewalk for the Eagles, no matter who they played, whether it was the Giants or the Vikings. So that's just my honest opinion. But that's all I got for this one, guys. And it looks like your comments have slowed down, so I'm going to go ahead and end it there. I really just wanted to get my thoughts out on this game and let you guys know how I'm feeling after that amazing victory versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm probably going to do some more stuff this week, though, with Michael Darcy. I'll probably go live with him tomorrow, reacting to whoever it is the Chiefs' opponent is going to be in the AFC Championship game, and I'll be watching the Bengals and the Bills. Maybe if I feel like it, I'll do a watch party for the Bengals-Bills game. I don't know. I'll see. I'm really wanting to do some stuff, though, right now because it's a great time in the Chiefs season to be making content and interacting with you guys, but that's all I got for this one, guys. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, where I've been pumping out articles lately. Really love when you guys go ahead and check my stuff out. So, yeah, that's all I got for this one. I'll see you all in the next one. Go Chiefs!